This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Tom, we'll stay within the NFL for a sec. How you feeling about your Atlanta Falcons hosting Bryce Young and the Panthers this weekend?
We got a chance. I have not studied it a whole lot, but I think the Panthers will probably be a little better. I've seen people project us to win, but not going to be a super strong division, it doesn't look like.
No, I don't think so either. But NFL this weekend gets going again on Thursday night. One Arkansas Razorback again. Frank Ragnow will be playing in that season opener. Tom, college football, of course, happened this weekend. A lot of week one storylines. Stay within the Arkansas Razorbacks. We've seen KJ Jefferson improve from his starting year in 2021. We saw improvement last year. Some injuries kind of derailed that. What did you notice about KJ's performance in week one under Dan Enos?
Well, I think if you can count up like the missed throws on one hand, you're doing pretty good. I know there was a post route for Andrew Armstrong that was low, and he came back and hit him on a post later. He led Andrew Armstrong out of bounds, which, could have been partly a receiver deal. He caught it, but it was his first incompletion. He was heading to the Western Carolina sideline, and then just three more. So he had a good day. He made a great read on the RPO with Dominic Johnson, in which a dude was tackling Dominic as KJ was trying to pull the ball out, and he scored the touchdown on it. So they didn't want to run KJ much, and as Sam Pittman pointed out yesterday, it was as if Western Carolina kind of knew that and came after the backs more. And also, they schemed up to stop the run. And so there wasn't a lot of cutback lanes or whatever for Rocket Sanders and the rest of the backs. But otherwise, I think KJ had a pretty strong debut.
I know that there were questions asked of Coach yesterday at the offense and defensive line. He talked about, hey, I wish we'd gotten a bigger push. Also spoke, and I'm paraphrasing, reckons more havoc on the defensive line. What did you think about those guys' first performance in game one?
Yeah, I agree. He thought D-line guys would flash a little bit more. And when you think about it, I think Torian Carter had a sack, and I'm not remembering the other sack.
Jackson.
There were two. Yeah, Jackson had a sack. But you kind of felt like – and they got the ball out very quickly, so it's harder to get a sack, obviously. In that case. But, they bottled up the run pretty well. Jaheim Thomas did a good job at linebacker on the second level. But I think their depth will begin to show. Hopefully they'll get Deshaun Stewart back, and, they'll be a really deep D-line. Other side, he's right. Not a lot of push in the run game. And part of that, he seemed to point out yesterday, was if you just kind of follow what the track is, if you're the back, and not kind of wait for cutbacks or whatever, just go through the track and then burst through. Maybe they could have had more, 4, 5, 6 yard runs as opposed to some of those 1 and 2s that they had. But look, man, you got to give kudos to Western Carolina. They wanted to make KJ throw the ball to beat them, and that's what Arkansas did.
Yeah. So is this a week where the emphasis will be put on the run game, and when we meet again on next Tuesday morning, we talk about a 200 and some odd yard, 270 yard team rushing effort? Will that be the game plan this week, or do you think they'll pretty much take what the defense gave them like they did against Western Carolina?
Well, to win your games, you're going to do what the defense allows you to do mostly, but I also think they'll probably push the point a little bit because you want to build confidence in your linemen. You get Brady Latham back, and maybe that adds a little bit more cohesiveness, veteran, helping with the other guys. But they got to make sure those tackles, because, how many times did we talk about offensive tackles in camp? And in this game, they did well in the pass game, but in the run game, those guys and some of the others did not. As Sam Pittman put it yesterday, they had 2-on-1s they didn't take advantage of. And if you got a double team and you're not clearing out, then, yeah, you did not get enough push. So I do believe that they'll kind of force the issue, not to the point where they're just knocking their head against the wall, but I do think they'll try to really establish the run game more than they did last week.
Yeah, because, they had, 8 different Razorbacks carry the football. I think they showed some depth in that area. And as the game went on, as the heat built in the afternoon, I thought Arkansas wore down Western Carolina, but I guess it took longer than most thought against a FCS opponent to break the will and to win the battle at the line of scrimmage, which eventually Arkansas did do.
I agree with you, and A.J. Green had some decent runs in the second half. Isaiah Augustov had a series, I think it was 4 consecutive runs, and you could just kind of see that's more what they were wanting, 5 yards or so a pop, and drag some guys with him. I mean, so I'll tell you, that kid's got promise, and Rocket Sanders has got something with his left knee, leg, and he was on the side yesterday, so I don't know if they'll risk him against Kent State. We'll have to kind of see how that plays out this week, but you could see, if Rashad Dubinion's back isn't ready, you could see an A.J. Green, Dominic Johnson, Isaiah Augustov combo in this game, and that's where Arkansas's depth comes into play. I mean, that's why, Jimmy Smith, heralded as a great recruiter, keeping his room together. A game like this could be one that pays off that you've done that.
Talking with Tom Murphy on the McLarty-Daniel hotline. He's with Whole Hog Sports and the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Tom, you mentioned, again, you were really impressed with Isaiah Augustov, and then I wonder your first impression of what Arkansas did on special teams with Isaiah Satania, Max Fletcher, and just what you saw from that unit on Saturday.
Well, Fletcher punted the way I think they believed he would to start last year. Maybe he was just under pressure, and I don't know what causes a punter to not really get all the ball, but his first 5 games, he got the chance last year, and he just didn't deliver. I mean, his average is in the high 30s. Well, his average is 49-something now, and he hit some boomers. He hit a couple inside the 20. That's what they thought they would get with him, and so maybe – and I know he's got more in his arsenal. I think they've got some rugby-style stuff. And I think one of the more disappointing aspects last year was pinning inside the 20. He'd have the chance punting from, like, the 45, and, the ball would wind up on the 21 or when it needs to be inside the 5, that kind of thing. And I think he's got a little bit more pinpoint trajectory of the ball, nose down stuff that you can check back in his arsenal. Cam Little didn't get a chance with a field goal. There was one chance where it looked like he might, but they converted, and I think it converted a 4th down, went down and scored. Satania, he had a huge return from 5 yards deep that came back on a penalty, and you just hate that. But he showed the kind of electrifying promise that they felt he would give them, and it's a breath of fresh air. I'm not sure if Bryce Stevens got much playing time, so I want to see him pick it up and get into that receiver mix.
You mentioned a penalty during Isaiah's return. Penalties were once again an issue on Saturday. Last year, they ranked outside the top 70. 2 years ago, they ranked outside the top 100. What do you think Sam Pittman has to say to his staff and his guys to kind of maybe bring those numbers down a little bit?
Yeah, so many times penalties are just a quick mental mistake at the line of scrimmage, a false start or whatever, or you grab a guy when you're a DB. I do notice in camps and during springs they're really grabby, and then I think they have to tone it down when they get into the season. But I don't know what you say other than just be more cognizant of it. They sent in several plays, and Sam Pittman did not go into detail about which they did. But, I thought Pooh Paul's targeting looked like he lowered his head to me. I still have not seen a replay of Quincy Rose's targeting to see what happened there. But, otherwise, I wouldn't say it was an acceptable amount of penalties, but they got some good teaching points out of it.
And I'm glad you brought up Quincy Rhodes. Tom Murphy with us on the McLarty-Daniel hotline. Stadium mic, for those watching on TV, did not work with the referee, so the communication was not there. The announcer kind of cleared it up, but let's go over that again because he was injured. There was a break. If you were watching on TV, they came back from the targeting. And am I right about this? They ruled there was no targeting on the play, or what exactly unfolded as he left the field from that injury?
I am absolutely not sure if targeting was upheld. I think it was upheld, but I don't want to go on the record with that. I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe that was one they sent in. I was looking at the play, but not through my binoculars, and I still don't know what happened. I don't know who tackled him. I don't know where Quincy Rhodes' helmet was or anything.
Yeah, and like the replay was was non-existent, more or less, if you were watching at home. All right, is it a reasonable question to ask which team's better, Western Carolina or Kent State? Is this an upgrade? I know you're going from FCS to FBS. I look at wagering lines, and it's a 38-point game this week versus 34 last week. I don't know if that's necessarily the way to equate opponents, but which will be the tougher test, week 1 against Western Carolina or Kent State, who got hammered by UCF in their opener?
Right. It's difficult for me to predict which one will be tougher. I mean, I've got to assume that Kent State will be better, but here's their deal. They replaced everybody on offense. They have 5 new offensive linemen. They have a freshman center. There's a lot of things that you can, quote, exploit. I mean, you've got Arkansas fifth-year senior defensive tackles. There's so many seniors on that front. They're going to be going after this O-line. And when your coach says they should have flashed more, you know they're going to be hungry against Kent State. Even though they've got a decent quarterback and a good running back, I just feel like the 38 points sounds like a decent spread to me. And then there's a lot more features to this Arkansas team that it's going to be fun to keep studying. I find myself, since I track play-by-play, I don't get to see or don't feel like I get to see a lot of the personnel changes and the depth that they use. For instance, Nudie McLaughlin got a pick, but I'm not sure – he didn't play a whole lot. I think they really wanted to see what Jalen Braxton and Jaheim Singletary brought to the table. Singletary was on the sideline yesterday, so we'll see about his status for this coming week. We may get to see some Ladarius Bishop again. So, to me, there's still a lot of neat facets. You know, how deep they can go at receiver. Will Davion Dozier and Desmond James, will they really, not redshirt and play a lot? These are all things to be told.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.